Afternoon and welcome to today's session where we're going to look at Athena and some of the reports that we're migrating away from Mesh, so the data validation report and also the NHS traced number report. As well as those, we've actually introduced some new reports. We have a local identifier report that we'll have a look at. And there's a new report called fuzzy matching that we will get to a little bit later on. Just for an overview, the reason that we've moved away from Mesh to Athena is really so that all your reports are in one place. You don't have to switch between the two different systems. We have had issues with accessibility to Mesh as well, and those issues don't exist in Athena. So we know all councils already have access to Athena and the dashboards. It also means that your reports don't time out anymore. That was an issue in Mesh. If you didn't access the reports within a certain time frame, which included weekends, the reports would disappear and you would have to come through to myself or other members of the team to ask for those reports to be reissued. Athena will pull your latest report whenever you go on to access it. It also gave us the opportunity to redevelop the reports that were already there in Power BI. So a little bit more usability, a little bit nicer to look at, all of the things that we expect with Power BI. Just to add that per council, you were allowed up to 10 users on Athena, and having access to the different areas still only classes as one user. So these new reports are found in the PID area. Majority of people currently have access just to the dashboard. Once you do have access to the PID area, you will switch roles. There are instructions on the adult social care webpage about how to do that and how to request a new role. And you can also get that same information from the Athena webpage when you go to sign in there. So the first report that we're going to show is the one that's changed, has the fewest changes to it, and that's the data validation report. There are a few things that may be new on it, but in general, it's a like-for-like transition over onto Mesh. The figures that you see throughout within this report and throughout the rest of the presentation, anything that's classed as clear, identifiable data will be hashed out. So when you do see your report, especially some of the later ones, they may make a little bit more sense when you can see your own reports and have that clear data. But for today's demo, anything like that will be hashed out. So I'll hand over there to Joey to talk you through that first report and just introduce himself quickly as well. Thank you, Joey.
My name is Joey. I'll be taking you through the data validation report, tracing report, and fuzzy matching reports. Starting with the validation report, as Diane said, this like for like with the Mesh report, that the data validation, the report that you had under Mesh, except that's been converted to Power BI, plus a few enhancements added onto it. This report basically highlights the general validity achieved for the submission, the current submission. This is a submission for Agent Demo Council for 31st of October 2025. Overall, the records and all the columns were achieved 99.93%. There were 20,051 records in the submission, of which 1,005 had data quality issues. in comparison to previous submissions, we have achieved, we are at par 1-to-1. We have achieved higher in terms of national average. The report uses quite a profuse of colors. Green basically means good, where it tends towards red, that means not so good. You may wish to pay particular attention to items that are highlighted with a red diamond. Those give us the number of issues that have been identified for a particular column. For example, in this case, there are 791 items that have an issue with the NHS number. And the issue is the field is mandatory, but no data was provided for it. It was a blank provided. Similarly, with date of birth, there were 7 records, 38 records where the postcode is concerned. In this case, the failure was a specific check on the postcode. This goes on for all columns over all the data sets. To see the specific issues in question, for example, the 38 postcodes that we identified, that we identified elsewhere, go to the data quality issues button at the top right. This will open another page where we show all the items that have issues. For example, our 38 records which have had issues, and all the 791 that had issues as well. Again, on this one, we can see that we still have our 1005 records which have issues. On the right-hand side, it lists the records that had issues and the issue that was identified, plus the error code that has been identified for that particular record. To get a meaning of, or a key to these error codes, move over to the left onto this gray slab, hover over it. That will open a toolbox. A drop down on this, a drop down toolbar that has the keys to the errors. For example, -1, that's a mandatory field, but a blank was provided. 0, that provided. 1 is passed. Those will not appear in the error codes, but the ones in the negatives, those are the errors. On the top of the table on the right, there's a summary of the number of errors identified by the error code, summarized by the error code. So we had 931 records which failed mandatory, which failed because the field was mandatory, but we provided a blank. To get to the specific records, or to get a closer look at the specific records which have issues, come onto the lower left-hand corner. There's a drop-down menu where you can select the field that you want to have a closer look at. So for example, if I select postcode, the table on the left will be filtered down to just the postcode. And to get further details, about these records. This button here will have been highlighted. Let me just clear that one first. When I select postcode, it gets highlighted, allowing me to go to another page which has those records that are affected. 38 of them. We are given the error. The meaning of the error again can be viewed by hovering on this lab on the top. One other feature of these reports is wherever you have a table, a provision has been made to enable you to export data to Excel for better scrutiny or better review. This screen can be tiny for the amount of data that is actually put on there. For example, here we have only 38 rows. There are some tables which will have the rows in their hundreds. To get a better view of the data, there's been a provision which has been made to allow you to export the data. To export the data, move over to the top right-hand corner of the table on the three dots. Click on that one. That will open a drop-down menu. And on that menu, one of the items is export data. You press the export, that will extract the data and send it to Excel. Click Save As to save that data in a secure location. So this confidential data, definitely you must make sure that you save into a secure location. Choose your folder that you want to select, to save it in. Give it a name that is meaningful. Oh, I'm sorry, I saved. Give it a name that's meaningful. And save. You can open the file immediately if you wish to. That will open your file, and you can view your records in Excel. But more importantly, after you have saved your data in the secure location, do remember to clear the download history, because as you keep downloading, this history will keep growing. Everything that we have downloaded will keep being listed on this one. Go to the three dots in the top right-hand corner and click clear all download history. Remove all to finish the process. To go back to our main record, to our main report, press the left arrow. That takes us back to our main report. To bring everything up again on this report, click on the clear selection. That brings everything up again. Other items on this report include insights. This gives a very general overview of the whole data. These are not actionable, but it does give us a picture of what we have in our data. For example, events within the reporting period, we have 20,051. Events with complete end dates, among the 20,051, we have 20,613, which represents 89.42%. Similarly, person with ID conflict, they are 52, 0.23%. completely blank columns, we have 6. Clicking the errors button at the bottom simply takes us back to the data quality issues. The report, going back to the dashboard, to view the 1005 items that have data quality issues, click on the detail dataset button. That will extract all the 1051 records into a table. These are very wide table, very wide, and you may have issues trying to figure out things on this small screen. It's also furnished, of course, with the error key. Where errors are concerned, you can come back to refer to this. Not everything will fit in the column provided. So, for example, in these headers, that's just saying CHK. To get exactly what's hidden under there, hover over it. There will be a tooltip which will actually highlight the entire content. So whatever is truncated, whenever something is truncated, that is throughout the Power BI reports. Hovering over the cell brings up a tooltip that states the full content. Just like the demonstrated earlier, you can export this data to Excel by clicking on the 3 dots in the right-hand corner and then selecting Export Data. It works just like I'd explained earlier. Not very important. Suppose you had this trade here. Sorry. If you had spread to the export data by error and you don't want to export, of course, you can always cancel. It takes you back to the main report. Use the left arrow to go back to the main report where we started off from. Also provided is a help which gives us a general guidance on how to navigate the report or how to interpret the data contained therein. We also have a small write-up on some of the consistency checks. And then change log, which just gives us a summary of what went on in the development of these reports. Back to overview, that's our main help. Back arrow takes us back to the report we came from, or you can go directly to the report that you wish to go to by choosing from this. I'll go by the back arrow. That concludes the data validation report. Diane, back to you.
Thanks very much, Joey. So just to pick up on a couple of points from Joey's demonstration, these reports are in a new area on Athena, which as you log in, you will see is called the PID Roll, which is patient identifiable data. And as I said earlier, for these demos, all of that identifiable data is hashed out. But when you get access to the reports, as you can see, you can download the data. So that's similar to how things worked on Mesh. You would take the data from Mesh and put it somewhere else. It's just a reminder, please treat the data in the same way that you did from Mesh. Only download what you need to, as little as possible, just to keep that patient identifiable data as safe as it possibly can be. And make sure that it's saved somewhere safe. Wherever you saved your Mesh reports previously, Don't leave data like that on top of your desktop, of your laptop, things like that. So just bear in mind that there is all of your client identifiable data is included in these reports. So moving on, the next report that Joey will go through is the NHS tracing report. And this one you will also be familiar with. So it has been migrated over from Mesh. However, this one has had a lot of additional work and intelligence added into it as part of that migration. So it no longer just gives you missing NHS numbers where we've been able to trace them. It will also tell you if we think you've got an incorrect NHS number recorded, as in whether it matches to the PDS service. The PDS is the Person Demographics Service, and the next reports that Joey will demo both use that data source. It's an NHS England product that's held by the batch tracing service team. We have no control over the PDS data itself, but it is what all systems check against. So I suppose it's considered the truth about us all that the systems hold. So that's where it goes to check that our name, date of birth, NHS number match. There will be occasions where you check your data and your data looks 100% correct and you think the PDS is incorrect. That is totally possible. When we provision these reports back to you, please bear in mind we're not saying your data is incorrect. We're saying on these reports, we're saying that your data doesn't match to the PDS data. Question that's been raised is if you find something that needs correcting with PDS, can we enact that? Unfortunately not. The PDS is held by NHS England, but the data itself is drawn from GPs. The main source of the data is from GP data. And unfortunately, the only way to get that data updated is for people to speak with their GP and ask for their name to be corrected or update their GP with their most recent address, things like that. So as well as the extra data that we've got around NHS numbers, Joey will also talk through an extra section that we've now got with GPs, where we're able to give you details back on the GP and also on CQC details. But that won't be included as part of this demo. But it is live on the reports that you see, and Joey will go into that in a little bit more detail. I think that's everything to cover from me, so I will hand back to you, Joey, just to do as a walkthrough of these reports.
Thank you, Dan. What I have here is the NHS tracing report. The first few that we have is the NHS comparisons. In this submission, we have managed to match 99.73% of the NHS numbers. In other words, we provided NHS numbers, checked against the PDS, we achieved 99.73% match. 0.2%, we did not provide an NHS number, but with the other details for our clients, NHS numbers were found in the PDS database. In 0.07% of the cases, the NHS numbers that we provided were different from those that were found in the PDS. These are the three main items, comparisons that are presented in this report. The middle area provides graphical representation of the same numbers matched, empty numbers but found in PDS, as well as numbers that are different but in graphical form. Listed per month in this case, but you can change to you can show the graphics by quarter by selecting in this lab here, that's by month plus by quarter. Another item of this report is this small table at the bottom here, which gives us the actual numbers that are affected. For example, we had 5,891 records in the submission, of which 5,875 were matched with the PDS. That represents the 99.73%, which you also see at the top there. We had 12 blank records where we did not present an NHS number, but were found in the PDS. That represents our 0.2%. 2% that is indicated there. Similarly, we had 4 NHS numbers which were different from what was in the PDS. That's our 0.07% indicated at the top there. To see these records with issues, the 12 and the 4, plus the events where they were presented, come into this area, the middle area, where we have the derived load file name. Right-click the file name. Come to the bottom. To the bottom, there's drill through. That allows us to move to another page that has the details of those items. I'll start with the unique missing NHS numbers found in PDS. That gives us the 12 records. This would be our identifiers, our local identifying number. This will be the names of the patients, but as Dan had said, these have been phased out for these demo reports. Just like the other tables that I've indicated earlier, you can export this data by clicking on those 3 dots and clicking the export data. That's the 12 unique empty NHS numbers. Back arrow takes us back to the main report. I'll right-click on that one again. Now let me just go to the missing NHS numbers. I went into the unique NHS numbers. Now I'm going to missing NHS numbers. This is still 12 unique clients. We still have 12 unique clients, but actually we have 26 individual events. So, for example, these two are the same client. That's another one. These 4 are the same client, but different events that are included in this submission, This all records that have been submitted, but without the NHS number. I hope that makes sense. Again, the more options on the top right-hand corner allows us to export data. back arrow takes us back to the main report. I'll do it once more, just for one other item. To see the 4 NHS numbers different in PDS, go to the unique. It highlights the 4. There's not much else to explain here, really. That's about it. Just wait. That's about it for the NHS tracing.
Thanks very much for that, Joey.
Next, I'm going on to. I was going on to the GP practice. You wanted to?
Oh yes, if you move on to the GP part, that'd be great.
Yeah. Next, we have GP comparisons report. As Diane had mentioned, we also have CQC comparisons report. The way the CQC comparisons report operates is just the same as the way the GP practice comparisons report operates. The live reports do include GP comparisons report and CQC comparisons report. The one other report that we have here is for the matched report, which Dan will tell you about a little more before I come to it. This tab has been moved away from this report. It is now an independent report within Athena. Okay, coming to the GP practice report, GP comparisons report per se. The main highlights are the number of GP practices that we managed to match. That is, we presented a client with their GP practice code, of which we managed to match 51.77. In 21.238%, we did not provide a GP practice. In 12.68% of the cases, we provided a GP practice, but it did not match the PDS. Then in 14.9%, we couldn't find anything in the PDS. Either we didn't supply we didn't supply the GP practice, but then there was using other details of the client, we couldn't find a record in the PDS. Or we supplied a practice code, but it was not found in the PDS. Or it was an invalid GP practice code altogether. That is this bit here. The same quantities are presented graphically in a tree view, which gives us a graphical quantification of the same. The table on the right lists all the records with their outcomes. So that would be our unique person ID, their names, the GP practice code that we provided, the practice code that was found in the PDS, and then the name, and here's the status, whereby we either have missing practice, practice matches PDS, invalid practice, and so on. In total, we have 6,357 records that we have presented, of which 1359 were missing. Invalid, we didn't have any invalid in this case. 3291 were matched, and 4444 missed. Did not have an NHS number, and without an NHS number, basically it's difficult to match back into the PDS. Likewise, you can export this data to spreadsheet for better scrutiny, but you'd be exporting 6,357 records, which might not be very useful. You may want to export just records which have issues, like where the missing practice but has been found in the PDS. That reduces our records to just what we have in here, or to practices present but not matching PDS, which reduces the size of our export, and then again enables us to target just the records with issues instead of going for the entire 6,057 records. As I mentioned earlier, the same applies to the CQC location comparisons. They operate in a very similar manner. All right, that concludes the tracing report. Next will be the fuzzy matched report, which, as I mentioned, is a separate report, and it deserves a special mention from Diane before I continue.
Thanks, Joey. Yes, just to explain what the fuzzy matching is actually looking for. So I'm sure you all have some NHS numbers that are blank that we are unable to return you an NHS number for based on the data that's getting sent to us. The fuzzy matching looks at the 5 fields that are used to produce a match. And what we're doing here is telling you which of those 5 fields do not match to PDS. So again, please bear in mind that the PDS may not always be correct, but it will highlight to you what's stopping you from getting that 100% match for all of your clients. And in a good example, you would come onto this report, you'd have a look and find somebody whose date of birth was stopping you from getting a match. That date of birth may have been recorded as 1737. You have a look and decide, oh yes, it should have been 1937. You correct the record. You do your next submission to us. That would then produce a 100% match, and you would get the NHS number returned to you in the first report that Joey demoed on this screen. So you would have the assurance that we were still returning 100% matches. So, like I say, this is just highlighting to you which fields don't match PDS, and hopefully it will help you maybe get a few extra NHS numbers updated on your system. And I'll let Joey talk you through how the report actually works.
Thanks, Dan. Oh. All right, the fuzzy matching report basically works on the 4 fields: the postcode, the last name, first name, and date of birth. I'm not going into the details of the fuzzy matching process, but they will be using what do I call it? An algorithm called SoundX, which basically means sounds like, or LAV. LAV basically looks for typing errors. Giving 2 items, it just checks how close they are in case maybe there was a typing error or just one character was removed. Those are the processes. The first report, first item here is these items displayed in a waterfall view from the one with the highest numbers to the lowest, in totaling 1047 altogether. But you can also view them as a tree map, which again gives us proportionate visual with regards to the size of the cases. To actually view the actual item, there are 2 ways to go to them. So for example, first name not matched. When you hover over the item, either on the tree map or on the waterfall, there will be a tooltip. Which one of the items listed there will be, oh my God, drill through. Drill through will take us to the first matched report, which now highlights the items that have been identified. Another way, let me go to the waterfall. Again, on this one, on each of these ones, you can go to the drill through and it will drill through to the same. The other way is click on the list on the lower left. There will be a drill through button, which takes us to the same. The main difference between what we are seeing here and what you'll be seeing in the actual report is that the items that are not matching are highlighted in a shade of orange. So for example, this date of birth not matched, it will be listing records where the date of birth do not match. That is what we supplied and what has been found in the PDS. So this whole area, all this data will be highlighted in with an orange shade. Other than that, wherever there are mismatches on the other columns, those will also be highlighted. But you can be sure that the entire of these 2 columns will be highlighted, because on the records where these 2 are different are the ones which will be brought into this particular visual, date of birth not matched. So these would all be highlighted, but also wherever a mismatch is found, that will be highlighted. It's a pity that because we're using manufactured data, it's not that intuitive. Everything looks the same here. But again, like the other reports, there's a facility to export to Excel for better scrutiny of the data. To return to our main report, again, is the back arrow. What else here? I think that's about it. The one other thing here probably is this home key in the main report is called help. That takes us to our help page with some description of how to manipulate the report. On there's some on the actual report. There's some explanation of the fuzzy matching process, SDX and the LEV. Of course, clicking on these pages takes us back to our main reports. That's about it with this set of reports, the tracing reports and the fuzzy matching reports. Thank you,
Thanks
Diane.
very much for all of that, Joey. And that takes us on to the last report that we've got to demonstrate today. And this is a brand new report that's been developed. And I will let Laura tell you all about that herself. So thanks, Laura.
Thanks, Diane. I'm Laura, and I'm a reporting solutions developer at AGEM. I'll be taking you through this new ASCOF local identifier report. So this report, on the first page here, what you're seeing looks a bit like what you see on the CLD dashboard. Obviously, what you're seeing now is completely made up demo data for the purpose of this demo. But this table looks like that CLD dashboard with the different ASCOF measures, the numerator, the denominator, and the outcome. But the purpose of this report is to be able to view those LA person unique identifiers for those measures so that you can see which are included within those measures. So to be able to do that, there's a few ways of doing it. Firstly, you've got on the left-hand side there, you've got your measure filter. So if there's a particular measure that you're interested in, you can do that. But to be able to access the LA person unique identifiers, like I said, there's a few ways that you can do that. Firstly, you can highlight the row in the table that you're interested in. And on the left-hand side there, that button, View Record Details, becomes available. There is a longer way of doing that as well, where you can just right-click, drill through, and record details, and they take you to the same page, this record details page, which again, on the left-hand side has a reminder of the measure that you clicked on. It tells you the numerator, the denominator, but here on your table here, you have a list of those LA person unique identifiers and whether they're included in the numerator and whether they're included in the denominator. And again, you can just export those if you needed to. So you can click on the ... like Joey showed you with the other reports, and then click export data. But if I go back to the first page, I click on this back arrow here, there is another way that you can export the data. And you can go straight into custom data extract, and here you've got a big table with the different local LA person unique identifiers, the measure, the age, gender, whether it's included in the numerator, whether it's included in the denominator. There is a local authority filter on there, but that is just for this demo report. You won't see that on the live report, but you have got the filters there for the different measures, the different ages, and the different genders. And you can then select what you're looking for there if there's a particular measure that you're interested in, and then again you are able to export that data as well, but obviously needing to be wary and ensure that you're keeping that in a secure location. But if I go back onto the first page, that is pretty much it for the ASCOF report.
Thanks very much for that, Laura. And yeah, just to reiterate, this report isn't currently available. As soon as we are able to host it on Athena, I will be sending out communication email to everybody, so you know it's there and you can go check it out as soon as it's deployed. I think that's everything from today's session. I have got, if I can share my screen, some emails for you all and web addresses. So here we are. Hopefully you'll be able to see those. So anything to do with Athena, if you can't access your accounts, have difficulties logging in, can't see the correct reports, they all need to go through to that email address that's there. Any general adult social care queries that need to come through to me, that's the mailbox there, agem.adultsocialcare. To actually access Athena, that's the link there. If you type that into your web browser, you will be able to get through to Athena. And there are lots of help pages before you even log in. So it's well worth checking out that link before you send off a query, because you probably will find the answer there. And there's a wealth of information held on the AGEM Adult Social Care webpage, and the web address is there. thank you all for watching today, and hopefully speak to you all at some time. Thanks very much. Bye bye.